The year is 2053. North America has been reduced to a scorched, radiation-ravaged wasteland. The few survivors live in isolated cities under total control, while marauding gangs rule everything beyond their borders, making solo travel a death sentence. A transport van sets out from one city to another, carrying a motley crew. Bounty hunter Harry, Reno, the criminal he captured, his ex-wife Sandy, a taciturn Asian scientist, a failed stand-up comic, the young heiress of a wealthy businessman, and even a drug-addicted killer posing as a doctor. Can this mismatched group reach their destination across a road crawling with deadly dangers? For American culture, the Western has always been a deeply rooted genre. Stories of conquest, endurance, and confrontation, where vast, empty, yet perilous landscapes mirror the loneliness of the heroes, sharpening both their personalities and their conflicts. Wildly popular in the mid-20th century, Westerns had all but died out by the 1980s, only to be reborn as a kind of donor genre, feeding action films, thrillers, and dramas that no longer took place in the Wild West but still followed its narrative rules. Neon City is exactly that kind of film, a pseudo-sci-fi action movie with a Mad Max-style aesthetic that, in reality, functions as an unofficial remake of one of the most important Westerns ever made, Stagecoach by John Ford. The filmmakers retained not only the core storyline but also loosely mapped their characters onto the same archetypes, yet failed to capture what made Stagecoach truly great. That film was essentially an encyclopedia of the American identity, deconstructing its ideals, dreams, ambitions, principles, and flaws. Neon City, by contrast, is a patchwork quilt about nothing in particular, which in a way makes sense given its troubled development. The first draft was written by TV screenwriter Anne Lewis Hamilton, who used the male pseudonym Buck Finch to get around the producer's sexism. The plan worked, the script was picked up, but much of what Hamilton created was reworked, including changing the protagonist's gender, turning a tough female bounty hunter into a man. From there, a cascade of additional changes followed, inevitably stripping the story of its original message. At first, we follow whether Harry will deliver his captive. Then we learn he's seeking revenge against the man who executed his son. Then the main villain abruptly becomes a serial killer posing as someone else. Along the way, Harry rekindles tensions with his ex-wife, falls for his prisoner, and reflects on how the world ended up in such ruin. Even more seasoned filmmakers might have struggled to make sense of this, let alone Monte Markham, a primarily television actor who, after 2 decades on screen, decided to try his hand at directing. Neon City is only his second film in that role, and it's clear he struggles with storytelling fundamentals. Despite its modest budget, which limits the scale of the action, the film has atmosphere and a certain vibe, but lacks focus and structure, causing it to sag in pacing and momentum. What remains is an interesting but ultimately non-essential experiment, one that can really only be wholeheartedly recommended to fans of veteran character actor Michael Ironside, model/singer/actress Vanity, or if there are any left, Lyle Alzado, the former football player who plays the likable van driver, Bulk, not unlike Buck in Stagecoach. It may well be Alzado's best role, and also his last, as he left acting after Neon City.